So hi everybody and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for absolute beginners. We create a game in this video, which is number 28, no, 29. It's even 29. And we create here again, we attach here weapons to our characters, but this time with code, and let's get started. Then you see what I mean. So first of all, you see this is the character where I left and I added even a stone. Let's keep the stone, but let's get rid of the manually attached weapon. I just deleted. So this is our start position, compile save, and how we are going to spawn now weapons here, which we can even change during gameplay. So I go to the event graph. It looks wild, but this, don't worry, it's not all the code. I added here some and tested here around. There are different ways we can do it. Here is one way. It's just one line of code. It do the same trick like this one, and there are some variations too. So, and let's get with this one because this one is very easy. Here is it's also easy, but let's get started and then we see it how this works. So first of all, in general, what I do, I show you that one. So we have event begin play. The event begin play will spawn just our spawn weapon left hand, and then it spawns also a weapon on the right hand if we want. And this one is just a copy of this one. So there is not much to it. And how I made this, I made here just a spawn actor, and we defined the actor in a variable, and current weapon actor. We set the current weapon actor and then attach to our component, and that's very straightforward. And then here we defined also a socket, and then and that's it normally. And then we go here down, and this one is just to change the weapons later. For example, you have here press 1K, then it destroys the current weapon actor, and then gets here a variable for the next weapon actor, and then it sets it, and then it calls the spawn actor. So this is for those guys who are familiar with coding, so that you don't watch the whole thing what I'm going to do to explain now for those guys who are new, and we will do this slow step by step. One more thing here, and there are many ways to do this. Here's one other way with arrays, and the point is you can start here, create an array. It destroys again the actor at start, and then we create a here's an array, and then the array has a weapon index, and then it will just get from the array the first index and set it to the actor, and then here we will add one later when we call it to the index, so we can, when we call it again, use the next index with the next weapon, and we spawn it then again here on top, spawn weapon. We call this here, anyway, where's that? What we call here, double click on it, and it jumps here. It then calls here again the spawn weapon, and that's it. And here we have one more checker. That's is just an if clause which checks after the array index. Very important on arrays is just that after we have defined how many array elements we have, that it goes not out of bounds. So I check, for example, for 3, because we have here 3 in this case, set when it's reached this point, that it's set to 0 again and starts over again, so it's looping later with this setup. So that's for those guys who are a little bit fast and know already what I'm going to do. And now we are creating this step by step for those guys who are a little bit slow. So I mean not slow, who are new. So let's get started. First of all, how we start is we can create a custom event. So let's, what we are going rid of all of this one almost, because we will create now them, or not all, but most of them our own. First of all, we need create a custom event. So what is a custom event, by the way, if you ask that? Will you write here in the place custom event first, and then you find this node add custom event, and in this add custom event we give a name. A name should be very descriptive. Let's call it what we want here. Let me see what we want. Just a little bit spawn weapon left. Okay, let's spawn it. If you clicked it away and you want rename it, there is a shortcut for this one, F2 for rename, but of course you can right click and find rename here as well. Okay, F2 to rename, and we call this spawn. Let's call this just spawn weapon, because I make not the right and left side in this video. It would take too much, but you can do it later after you understand the base principle. And spawn weapon. Okay. And the spawn weapon should just spawn this. But what is a custom event here? We're very fast info. It is it's similar to a function, if you know what a function is. Similar but not identical. Very important, because this one we have to call later, and it will be not auto activated from start. For example, let me get begin play. You know this node probably too. We need this here. You have probably not begin play. How you get begin play? Right click, write event begin play. And if you get this node here, this one will be executed when you start play, right? So when you click here on play, this this node will execute it if the character is in game. But this node will not be executed. And how we are going to execute this custom event, we have to call it when I drag out here and call now this name, what I give them. It was spawn weapon. Okay, now I call you spawn weapon, and now I find it. So, which means I can call a specific code later when I need it, and that's very important to know. A custom event is just a way for us to call specific code which we want activate later, or a little bit or on special cases and so on. That's that. We continue. So actually we really need this spawn weapon, because this was here also. And that's perfect. We made this also. We can continue, because after when we press play and the character is in game, this one will automatically trigger, and this one will trigger spawn weapon, and we have nothing in weapon right now. Right now it is just called. Now we have code this stuff what it's here. So let me start with this one. We will get a spawn actor, and then we make all the stuff what is here. Let me explain that for you too. Let's make it together. Okay, first of all, let's drag out and call spawn actor, and the name from class here, spawn actor from class, sorry for that, not spawn actor. And spawn actor from class will search, is asking us to find a class, and here it's very important, we have no class. We have not made this weapon class, right? Because right now we have just, when I go to the weapons folder here, infinite live, let me go here to the weapons. Here are the weapons, here are the blades, here are the axes, here this one. And right now we have here just a skeletal mesh, but where is the actor? Which means we have to create an actor. And how we make this? In blueprints to create an actor. Perhaps you already know, if not, no problem. We go, let me draw this, dock this here, and we go to our game, we go and create a weapons folder. I already created this one, and if you are wondering what these colors are, I colored them. These are my base element, base, what is this called? This base things in programming which you are going to need, for example, animations, audio, game mode, levels, and so on. And these green things or other colors will be my special folders for the game specific things. For example, a weapon is not a base thing what you need general for a game, but material you need almost for all games, a level you need almost for all games, a UI user interface you need almost for all games, audio and so on. But a weapon you definitely need not for all games. This is just specific for this game. So that said, you create this weapon folder, right click, and then new folder, you create this. Then in folder, we create a new folder. Again, right click, new folder, and you call it blueprints, because we are creating a blueprint. And now we are going to create, I have already created one, but I show you of course how we create here. You click again, right click, then blueprint class, we click on this, and here I think we talked about this, but fast again, here in the command we have here some all time used blueprints, and if this is not enough, you will find all here when you type it in. And on top we have actually that what we search, actor, right? So we click on this actor, we write here blueprint underscore, oops, why it's saved again, F2 to rename, blueprint underscore. And now you can name this. I gave here very bad names for the other ones, but it is better to name the weapon what it is indeed. Let me search fast what weapon we are going to use. For example, here, blade. Let's make the first one. This one is called SK Blade S. I press F2. I don't rename it. I just press Ctrl C for copy it, and I don't rename that. I go back to my weapons folder. I open this up and I press here F2 and Ctrl V to paste in. Now I have this long name, but there is no blueprint in front. Let's write here BP underscore, and this one is the real name. And this is very helpful later if I search this X. So now I have created this blueprint. Let's open this up with double click. Let's dock it on the top. Let's we have in our blueprint nothing here. We have here the viewport and we have here the event graph. We need here the viewport. We go to the add and we are going to add this X. And you have all time to check if it's a static mesh or a skeletal mesh or whatever it is. In our case, it's a skeletal mesh. So let's write oops. Now you have to write this right. I can't write skeletal. Why? There is it. I write it with a C. That's why here is it. That's what we have. Right, skeletal mesh, and then you found it. So, and here it's the skeletal mesh, and it would be also good to get here the name what we need, and that's why I go back here, F2, copy this name again. I go here and write here F2 to rename it, Control V to paste it, but this time I don't need here this BP. Instead I write here SK. Let's rename this one SKM, skeletal mesh. All right, we can use this one, SK skeletal blade architecture. So what arc and arc, or what is X, whatever. Let's continue. So we have named it, and we have now assigned again the mesh. Very simple. Let's compile and save this fast. We go to the select this one. We go to the details panel. We go to mesh. The mesh full section is here, and we search now this mesh. Here we have now the name, so you can search the name if you want. Let's write SK and blade, and there are more blades, and I write here and there is this. So that's why it's handy to write the name which we want, okay, this one. And first of all, that's it what we needed here to do. So compile, save. And why we did all this thing, why we created a blueprint in the first place, this is because I want spawn an actor from class. Now I have created an actor. This blueprint class, what we have here, is an actor blueprint class. And when we read this tooltip and you read a little bit down where it says parent class and native parent class and so on, you'll see they are inherited from actors. This is a little bit stuff, something like if you have a background in coding, you know what this means. When it's inherit from actor means it is itself is also an actor. Just that, if you don't need, no problem. Just know this one is an actor, and we continue. And now I'm here back to blueprint coding. I'm back in my character. I'm back in event graph, and in spawn weapon I continue here. Here in spawn weapon it asks us all time for a transform. That will be all time asked here. And what we can do here is we find a special place, but in this case we don't need. And there are different ways to solve this. For example, here is a way to make transform, but there is an easier way than this one. But let's see, I show you how you make this one. You can go drag this out, make transform, and then it will pop up this node. And this make transform is only a way you can just write your own things here and can use this out of this one. But they integrated this one actually in this node as well. So you have just to split this screen, split this pin. And how you do this, you hover over it, you click it, and then here right click it, and here's the option split pin. And you see make array is here also integrated, and we can use this one. And you could yes, you could write here something, but we use the default values. Perfect. Compile and save. You see we have a compile arrow. Why we have here a compile arrow? Must have a class specified. Yes, we have not class specified, of course, because this one is also asking for a class, and the class which we are going to use is the specified class. But here we will use a variable. And why we are going to, but normally you can find now your blueprint class here. Let me find this one. BP SK, oh, SK was it, and then blade. And here is my blueprint class. I could specify this, I compile and save, that will work. But why I make here a variable? And the easy answer is I want switch this axis. I want not use one X, I want have an option to switch axis. And to switch axis we need a variable here which we can change the variable assigned blueprint actor. So, and how we make this, let me show this what I mean. Right now I have only one class, and that I don't want, so I do click right click, promote to variable, and now this will pop up here in variables. And in variables you can rename this again, press F2, or you go here on the right side details panel, variable name, and write it here. And let's call this what makes sense. Let me see what I wrote there, so it's similar a little bit. Current weapon. Okay, the current weapon makes sense, but I already used it. You can't use variables name, so let's write it current weapon 2, because I make this again. So now after you set this current weapon as a variable, we have to do one more step, compile this, because then this one, the settings are taken. And then click again this current weapon, go to details, and here in default value is the start value, and this one you should set to what you think it should have at start. And at start, yes, this is the X which we defined. Perfect, this X should be at start there. And let me compile and save this one more time. And let's go back to our, this one we don't need. Let's go, oh, perhaps we need this later. Let's keep this up. And then let's go on. This block is finished actually. So when the character is there, the event begin play is here, and I press play, it will spawn the weapon and it will activate this spawn weapon node, and it will try to do this. And let's see what happens indeed. Let's play. And I don't see the weapon, or I see it, but anyhow not there where it should be, right? So we have to do a little bit more work here. It is spawning, but actually not with us and not in our hand, and so on. Let's go on. So the next thing is, this one is actually here to set the current weapon, because later for switching the weapon, let's do this one too. Here what we can do now is we need here again promote this one to a variable. So we right click here, we write promote to a variable, and right now which is here in this one here, we want name it. We go again to, you can press here F2, I think it's not working. Anyway, let's go here to variable name and set it to what it was named there. I want to make it current weapon actor. Yes, let's call it current weapon actor. Okay, current weapon actor 2. Okay, this is now our current weapon actor because this is selected. Let's go on. Let's see what they have. Okay, they will now find an attach node, because you saw, like when I tested this one, the weapon is anywhere there. It is not attached to us. And let's find this node here, attach actor component. Let's do this from this node. Attach actor component. Careful, we have here two. One is attach actor to actor, but this time to component. This one, yeah, let's make this one. It's other one works for actors. So what we have here many options. Again, we don't need all options. Important is there are most time 1-2 options which we definitely need, and most time they are on top. This one, for example, target we probably need, apparent we probably need, and we have here something like a socket name. That sounds also very good because we already worked with sockets. And let's see what we need. So current weapon actor, setting this one, and then mesh, yes, the parent, and then the socket name, and the other ones we just keep like it is. So keep this in mind. This is also very important. Sometimes when you open a node, most time you will not need all, but if you need something, it will start from top to bottom, I think. Not all time, at least in I don't know, perhaps in Blueprint they changed it. In C++, the first parameter must be taken, the second must be taken, and the other can be options at the end, but not at the front. But in Blueprints, I'm not so sure about this one. Okay, forget this, sorry. Let's continue. Current weapon actor. Yeah, we have set here the current weapon actor, and this is our target. Actually, so normally I don't need here get this one, but okay, that was a way to get a variable. So how would you get the variable? You can go here and drag and drop it here, or there is another way. Let me show you this one. After you drag and drop it here, it is asking you want get it or you want set it, and in this case we want get it because we get the information and add it here as a target. But there is a shortcut actually. For example, I forgot it. Perfect. There is anyway anyway, let's keep going. You can drag and drop this here and you have it. Now I know it again. You can, of course, instead of drag and dropping, you have to drag and drop, but instead of choosing here later, you can choose while you here, hold Alt K for setting, I think, and Control K for getting, so you don't have to choose later all time here in the screen. But this one at start, just use this one. I think it's perfect. Later you can use the shortcuts to speed up your development. So we have this one. So we need a target, this component, but we need the parent, right? We need this component, the weapon which we have saved here, should be attached to what? And the what is our parent, and the parent is our mesh of the character right here. And we did this similar to one video before with this manual attachment. I created here a static mesh, a skeletal mesh, and then I attached the skeletal mesh to this one. And here, this node is doing this now in a coding way, right? This attach node make this automatically for us instead of doing all manually. That's why we could use the coding stuff here, and not to manually attach it and assign in and so on. So let's continue a little bit. And the last thing what we need is, if there is a socket name, we can set the socket name. And we already talked about the socket name, but let's talk it again. Here we have to find a socket and to write here sock, and then here can be a socket. For example, here's already a socket, and this one we created last one. If not, you can create easier socket. Let's create here one more socket. You go to this hand left, for example, then you click here, right click and add socket. Now I have even 2 sockets at the same end, and let's and then you remember this socket, but let's use 1 socket. And one more important thing is, after you created this socket here, then you can have here a preview. And how you get the preview, right click on it, go to the add preview asset and find your X. It was something with SK, let's see, SK, what was the name? And if you can't remember it like me, you can just go here. Here is the skeleton mesh. You click this magnitude file, it goes here. You press F2. Don't rename it, just copy with Control C, or you just select it. It's even easier, I think. And then you can press this one, which not worked. Ah, that was not the place. Oops. That's that works not. Then you go here again. You go click, right click, add preview, and now Control V to paste, and it pops up. And then we add this. So this is the X which we want. And now we have to adjust this, but this one has no animation. You can add here animations too. You go here on top animations. You go here, use specific animations. For example, this one is something jumping or something. And then falling is this. Let's call idle. Yes, this is okay. I think that's already good almost. Yes, I did already. Probably yours is not that perfect at start because I adjusted this a little bit, but you have just here used this arrow case. Let me select the X again. If you deselect it like me, then you have to select the socket again, and then it's selected again. And of course the right socket, not the wrong one like me. And then here you can adjust the X how you want. I already displayed here around, don't want waste, and we continue. After you adjusted this one and say, yes, that looks okay, I can use that. You go here to save. Now we have the socket. We go back to our blueprint, and important, we have to write the socket name right here. The easiest way is, again, you go here to our skeleton mesh. You go here to the socket which you need, F2 for rename, but don't rename it. Just copy it, Control C for copy, and go back to our blueprint. Click here, Control V to paste it, and now we have the name exactly it should. Compile and save. And we have it a little bit. Let's test it. What happens now? And now you see this one works already. This one is already spawning the X. Actually, here I will make a pause because the other stuff what you see here is just a switching mechanism. So you say I want switch. This one would also work if you say I want just have one weapon. But most time that makes no sense to code if you want only one weapon, because I showed you in one video before, then you can just use a static, just add it manually here on the left side, and don't waste here coding performance because you just use one weapon. So in our case, we will use more than one weapons because we have here many weapons here. So for this case, we will create here a little bit more things. And that's we creating in the next video. I show you this one. And of course, a variation too. So see you there. Bye.